Hello everyone and welcome to the Deercast. A few of you have been asking for this video for a very long time, but there is a reason we haven't released it until now, and that is a review of this, the Landig LU1000. So the reason we haven't released it is we both got one, and both wanted to test it for a while and see kind of what we thought of it, and actually bring you a bit more of a kind of in-depth review rather than just a sort of this is what we think, it's literally just arrived off the back of a lorry type review. We're also going to try something a little bit different in this video, in that we're going to talk you through all of this, and then afterwards we're going to try and record some separate kind of close-ups of bits that we might discuss in this video, and we'll try and splice them in, so hopefully that works and you can see everything. So both Harry and I have both got exactly the same model, both use it for exactly the same thing, i.e. storing mostly fallow deer. Both paid the same money for it, which was 3,000.
I think I paid more than you actually, because I think the prices went up, annoyingly. Because I think I built mine 2 or 3 months after yours.
When we bought them, they were about 3,700, 800, 900 ish,
including VAT.
Including VAT and including extra for a drip tray.
100 quid extra for the drip tray, which is worth the money, I would definitely say.
And I think we also both paid more to have the condensing unit on the side rather than on the top.
Yes,
I think from memory.
It was slightly more, yeah.
And you'll have to forgive me because we were out, or both of us were out stalking this morning, so hence there's a little bit of blood on the floor, and hence there's also actually some dead deer in the chiller. But actually, it's probably quite a useful example because I've got 4 fallow deer in there, so it kind of shows you how it fits together, and that's ultimately what this one was designed for. Was I think it says 4 large deer. So you'll see kind of what that looks like in a second.
Yep. And we're both kind of coming to these from, well, I had a Coke fridge, classic double door one. You were using like a normal fridge Did you have the bushware converted thing? Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, the kind of conversion kit
with a kind of air circulator and a temperature probe and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, and it's the first thing I'd say before we even kind of get into it is this has made a huge difference in terms of both capacity but also quality of the carcasses. I noticed straight away the carcasses were, the first thing you noticed when you came to skin them actually was they were totally different skin, but also just the internal cavity was just so much cleaner, fresher, having been in one of these, and I think probably keeps longer than something else.
I found with my Coke fridge, because it did have a circulating fan, but it wasn't anything like as strong as this. And the chiller unit was obviously only for chilling cans, so it would take a lot longer to chill a carcass down, and like a week I think was the max. And like you say, mine was a lot wetter. Like the carcass, because I normally wash them down, like the skin, if it gets mud or blood or whatever on it, and I take them out and they'd still be wet. Whereas out of this, they're pretty much dry, depending on how long I leave them. But I'd only be able to leave them for like a week before they start getting little spots on the inside you have to wipe out or whatever. And I've had ones in my Landig for like 2 weeks, fine, absolutely no problems at all. I don't know, there are obviously people who keep them for months and things, but that's just my experience with it.
So we both bought ours from the importer, Cool Game UK. It came obviously came pretty much as you see it now. Also came with one of these steel bars, which will show you how this kind of fits in later, but it's an extension of the rails that are in here. So it then extends out here and you don't have to try and lift an animal into the fridge, you can just lift it up onto here and then slide it in. It also came with, I'll grab one for you, a selection of these twisting S-hooks, which is really useful. I think I got 4 or 5 with mine, and they fit perfectly on the rail inside, and obviously this rail as well, which again absolutely brilliant.
I think the manual handling aspect for me is a big selling point, because especially in a Coke fridge, there's like a lip that you have to kind of lift stuff underneath, and it's so difficult with like a heavy fallow buck or something like that. And this is just, especially if you've got a winch that goes directly up to the bar, you just winch them up, slide them in. There's no straining, none of that crap, which is amazing, especially in the buck season.
So, what do you think? Do we do pros and cons first, or do we open it first?
I think people want to see.
What's going on. Okay. So, as I said, don't judge us. The 4 dead deer in here, so you've been warned. Oh, if you lock it. Right. So, here is the fridge. As I said, forgive the 4 deer, forgive the 2 drip trays I've got in the bottom. now you'll probably kind of understand where this bar fits in, but essentially it would come up like that. I've got it secured to a scaffold pole in the ceiling, fits into one of these running trays, running bars like that. You'd have your hook there, gambrel on, and you can then just slide deer into position like these four are here. One of these is a sort of fallow sorrel, one's a fallow cricket, one's a fallow doe, and one's a sort of yearling. So to give you a kind of idea of proportions, all four fit in there, absolutely no problem. And I think, to be fair, if you really wanted to, you could probably, if you had to, you could probably cram another one in there as well. I have seen some people put something between there and then have one hang sort of in the middle there. But to be honest, I've thankfully not really needed to. You can kind of see at the bottom, I know I've got two of my own drip trays in there, but there is this metal bit here is a sort of removable drip tray as well that you can take out, power wash off, and it does help keep the whole thing just that much cleaner and easier to maintain, isn't it?
Yeah. And underneath there is a drain in the floor. The problem I have with that is that I don't then have a drain out the floor of my larder, or nor do you. So actually having the drip tray is great because you can just take it outside, wash it out, Bob's your uncle, and actually it's quite useful. I sometimes hang it underneath things and what have you. It's nice bit of welded stainless, very helpful. What else? The fan in it is excellent.
Yeah,
I think it's a big selling point. Like in terms of the air circulation, we might cut now to a little clip of this. But there's a big fan that stays on, so even when the chiller unit itself clicks off because it's down to temperature, the air circulation fan is constantly going, so you're always getting that really good airflow. As Tom said, we both got the side mounted chiller, which I think if I had the height, I would have gone for the top mounted chiller for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I think the airflow might be a bit better because it's not just coming in from one side, it's coming like down through them, if you like. But also, if you're like hosing this out, for instance, there's the potential to get water or guts or what have you into the unit itself, which is obviously not ideal, but they are very, very high. So you have to have quite a tall room.
So before I close the door and just kind of sort of temperature, I'm going to point out one of my slight criticisms of this, and I can understand why, is that it all arrives covered in this plastic sheeting to protect the metalwork, which is great, but they've obviously covered all of the metalwork in this stuff and then assembled it. So in order to get this off, for example, I would have to get it properly off, you've got to remove all of the trim and everything and essentially dismantle it to get it off, or you can do what Harry's done and I have started to resort to doing, which is running a knife around the edge and then kind of ripping it off to there. Fairly minor criticism, but it's just a bit of a pain, I would say. So we'll just close door. You can kind of see condensing unit, chiller unit there that Harry's talking about, with control panel there and a very simple on-off switch. It does remember settings, so say you go out and shoot something on a Monday, you put it in, you can have it all switched on. Say you take something out on Tuesday and you switch it off because you don't think you're going hunting again until the weekend, then when you switch it back on, it will know what temperature you want it set at and it will just kind of crack on and do its own thing. It's very, very user-friendly in that sense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very simple. There's not really anything to fart around with on it. It's quite basic. You just set your desired temperature and it just goes to that. It does have a child lock feature, so you can kind of lock the temperature to whatever it is, and then no one can kind of fiddle with the buttons and change it. Which obviously is a problem. So it doesn't have any other kind of technological wizardry or features in it. Would have been maybe quite helpful to have something like a temperature logger. I know quite a lot of like professional chillers, especially in like kitchens, they'll have like a data logger that can send you temperatures to your phone or something like that, because it's obviously got a temperature gauge in it. So it could maybe do something like that, but it is just sort of quite simple.
In terms of delivering bits and pieces, essentially you place your order with Cool Game, they then import one for you, and it arrives on a lorry, and once it's delivered to you, it's your responsibility to get it into wherever you want it. So just bear that in mind if you are buying one. So I had a slight issue with mine in that when I placed the order, I was told I'd be given a few months' notice or a few weeks' notice. I was actually only given a week's notice, and then had to basically beg Harry to sit in my house because I was away that week to stay in for it. I managed to jiggle things around and get back in the afternoon that it was delivered to help Harry, but the guy who delivered it on a lorry literally turned up and was like, there's your pallet, good luck, and we had to kind of jiggle it into place. So just, it's not criticism, but just bear that in mind if you are thinking, I'm going to buy one and have it turn up at my house somewhere, you're then going to have to think about how you get it into wherever you want it.
Yeah. It also didn't actually fit out to the lorry, which was a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But,
I have got a picture of that, which I'll show you. Because it obviously went into the side of the lorry, but of course when the lorry turned up to deliver it, it couldn't get it out the back, so we actually had to help the lorry driver tilt it and basically manoeuvre it out, which is a slight pain.
And it'll come with this separately in a box, so you bolt this onto the side, and this is a separate unit. This itself is actually not that heavy, 2 people can lift this quite easily. It's just stainless with lots of insulation in there. This on the other hand is quite heavy, so you can manhandle it into wherever you need to, and the feet come off. We should also say the feet have a little adjuster in them so you can level it, which if you're going to use the drain in the middle is quite important, because you obviously want to make sure that the water is not pooling in one corner.
Yeah.
Or what have you.
Otherwise, I would say, and I don't know really why I'm saying otherwise, because in general I think it's an amazing bit of kit. I certainly can do what I do without it. It's drastically improved quality of carcasses. And yes, I guess it feels like a lot of money, but actually if I look back at, okay, well, how many carcasses does that enable me to store, the quality of them, etc., I think it's worth every single penny.
Yeah, definitely. It's a long-term investment, I see it as, and the real benefit of something like this, as opposed to like building a, because for that money you probably could have built a chiller in your garage, but obviously you can take this, as long as you've got somewhere else to put it, you can move that, if you move house, take the chiller unit off, alter some bolts, chuck it in a van and move it to your next house. So it's so well made that I can see myself having this for my whole stalking career, I hope. I mean, obviously you need to regas the units every now and then, but they're very well made. I can't fault them for the sort of quality, German, etc. They are a lot of money.
They are a lot of money. We should say, on the subject of money, both of us were fortunate enough to have these part grant funded through what's called the Farming and Protected Landscapes Grant Fund. Can't promise that everyone will necessarily be able to do that, but if you are in an area of outstanding natural beauty, it's worth having a look at, because that allowed us to get a bit of money towards these, which kind of took the sting out of it.
Yeah, that definitely helped.
Yeah.
That's the Landig. We haven't used any of the other smaller ones. I think there is a bigger one. There's one slightly larger. This is the sort of second from the biggest. That one I think was too tall for my chiller. My larder even. The smaller ones look quite good, but I think for most people you'll obviously want to be able to expand your current setup, and most fridges could probably take 2. And I think most of the other Landigs that are smaller than this can only take 2 or 3. So when we were looking at it, we both sort of thought, well, having space for 4/5 is really the only way to justify it.
It makes a lot of sense, because even if you're a stalker that only kills sort of 1 or 2 a week, it means that you can actually now store enough to then either batch process them, or if you are going to run to the game dealer, you can wait and essentially have 2 weeks worth to take, rather than if you've got a small fridge that only fits 1, constantly having to deal with that one in order to then be able to go out and shoot another one, etc. It's made a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely does.
So there you go, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. That is the Landig. Any questions or comments, pop them in the comment section below. If you haven't already, please remember to subscribe, and we'll hopefully catch you on the next one.